paved areas to mitigate heat impacts. I know sometimes at the top of like city reports, it will say like what goals they're related to. Is that going to be pulled from this as well? So like it will say when we're reviewing a climate or a new parking lot policy, will this be pulled in as like, hey, this is in the climate goals and policies from the comp plan?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So it also comes into play when we start looking at the changes or updates to our development regulations. Okay. So if you'll recall, when we recently did the parking code, there was language in there that said that if you are a non-customer and it was just for employees, it could be gravel parking area. Well, we took that out and required it to be a pavement or grass pavers or another type of impervious other than something that would cause the dust. And so that's kind of an example working backwards of how these goals and policies get implemented in our updates to the development regulations.
Awesome. Thank you.
Back to you, Nicole. Thanks.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm glad we were able to kind of walk through the things that caught your eye. So I will scooch this out of the way, and I'll go back to the slide about, let me make sure I've got everything covered. Okay, we'll talk about some events coming up, but for now, let's go back to this vision statement. And if you happen to have the copy of the introduction element in front of you, you might even want to look at that. In fact, I will pull that up. Let's see if I can get to that part where it lists out some of the kind of like community values, which were expressed in the current version of the plan. Don't look, you'll get dizzy. I'll be there in a minute, though. So we do call out all the Growth Management Act goals. This is what I wanted to talk about a little bit. So just to kind of remember back to the open house, we did the what are your hopes, what are your fears for the future? Think about some of that discussion that you had. And then also let's just review this really quick. So we have these different topics, and we haven't proposed any changes to this, but if you've got input or things that you're noticing, let us know. We may have wordsmithed, but nothing too major here. Community and neighborhood character. We talk about Richland being vibrant, progressive, safe, diverse, family-friendly, with lots of opportunities. We were talking about opportunities earlier, certainly for small businesses and other opportunities. Richland communicates with the public in a variety of ways to engage, understand, and address the community preferences, values, and concerns. Economic development, there's a nice kind of vision statement in a way there, just talking about creating a diverse and sustainable economy. I know when I first moved here, that was the thing people kept telling me, like, well, we need to diversify. We've been trying for years, but that's still important. So we're not reliant on, the federal programs and things. Both small and large businesses are vibrant and growing. The city center is walkable with mixed-use development. The waterfront areas offer views, amenities, and so forth. For land use and growth, it talks about managing growth within the UGA, making sure that we're still fostering positive outcomes for our existing neighborhoods and certainly the city center. We have a vibrant central business district. It says it's developed as a mixed-use village with pedestrian amenities, transit access, and bike paths. For housing, this idea was already expressed. It's interesting to see it, but housing in Richland is available for all income and age groups. There are multiple housing choices such as single-family, multifamily, mixed-use, and assisted living facilities. So that was already expressed in the past. I think we're getting closer to seeing that actually happen on the ground here recently. Transportation is efficient. It's multimodal. It calls out different modes there. open space and natural areas. It talks about how we value the riverfront and these different open spaces for quality of life. We regulate it through the SMP, the Shoreline Management Act, and also through zoning. For urban design and culture, it talks about we're really a hub of the arts, culture, education. These were topics that were brought up by you folks. We want to be a physically appealing community, have really, express our diverse cultural heritage, have really good design locally. Sustainability is called out. Sustainable growth brings opportunities for mass transit. That might be more aspirational beyond, what our local service looks like right now. Certainly calls out bike and pedestrian trails, talks about water conservation, recycling, natural resource protection. So a lot of these aren't new ideas. They're just newly expressed ideas. Parks and recreation. We love our parks. We have many parks in town. 62, I think. Is there 62 parks? 25. 52, because last year was 2025 and we have 52 parks. Thank you. I'm caught up now. Richland provides quality public facilities. So that has to do with public schools and facilities and utilities. Okay, so with all of that kind of in mind, I'm going to ask the chair, will you please read the community vision statement, and then we're going to dig in, we'll discuss.
Okay. Richland is a progressive, safe, and family-friendly community that welcomes diversity. It is noted for excellence in technology, medicine, education, recreation, tourism, and citizen participation. This dynamic city, situated on 2 rivers, actively supports opportunities for economic development that are in harmony with the area's unique natural resources.
So here's my question to you. About 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when we were writing a lot of comprehensive plans and kind of either it was our first go at it or we'd only done it a couple of times, there was a lot of talk about these vision statements. I find that lately it's more like, hey, we're going to do a little remodeling or maybe just brush up a few things. So that's my question to you. Does this need to be changed or totally rewritten? What are you thinking? What would you like to see done with your vision statement?
Remind me when this was written? You said 20 years ago?
Well, it was last updated in 2018, 17. It's a good thing I can read lips. 2017.
They did amend the statement. Or we don't know.
I didn't look back to see what it looked like before that. One thing I will tell you right now that I call out is a lot of times I recommend changing the word citizen because it says citizen participation. To me, that's kind of a hot rod topic, and I don't want to make anyone feel like that is the important thing here. So we call it local participation or active participation. We might come up with a different word there. A lot of other places in the comprehensive plan, if I see the word citizens, I'll just talk about residents and business community or things like that. So that's one thing that I would maybe call out. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know how much it was changed back in 2017.
It would be my guess, knowing that the focus the last time around was on receiving the 1,600 acres from the federal government into the urban growth area, and that was the main topic of discussions. My guess is that the vision statement probably wasn't touched. My guess is it probably goes back prior. Don't know for sure, but that's my guess.
Joking. I mean, you could tell it's older because it doesn't say sustainable. It doesn't say inclusive. Those kind of things. I'm not saying it's necessary, but it does tell me it's definitely pre-15.
Is there a sense, Nicole, in the conversations that you've had about our vision statement, regardless of when it was written, that we are actually achieving it?
Well, I think that's a question for you, right? Like, and for
I'm just
everybody,
curious.
like, and does this make sense? Does this articulate what you know of your community or what you hope for your community? And if not, what's missing or what needs to be worked on?
I feel like it articulates what we could hope for our community, potentially with some different language. But I think if we're looking at what our community values are and we think of what we want Richland to be, that this could almost work. I think somewhere in the values it's, we are a progressive, safe, diverse, and family-friendly community, but then here it says we welcome diversity. And so, like, are we diverse, or are we saying, like, we welcome diversity? And how are we achieving that? And how are we pursuing that? I like your thoughts, and I'm not everybody, but I like your thoughts on changing the word citizen. I think that we want to be noted for excellence in medicine, but we're not quite there yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not our vision, right? So yeah, I think we're close. That's just me.
I think it really depends on who you ask and how long they've lived here. Because if you ask me, we moved to the community in the late 80s. Richland and all the Tri-Cities were half the size they are now. I'd say yes to all of this. We really have grown tremendously in all of these areas. And so, but if you ask somebody like Heather, who's only been here for 6 years, so short, that might be harder to measure in their mind, and especially if they're coming from communities that were larger than ours. So I still think it's a great vision and one that you can continue to pursue. I don't want to get hung up on the citizen word. It doesn't bother me. But if there's a better word like residential participation, then fine. But ultimately, no, I think that I think we've come a long way towards this vision, and we still have a ways to go, but we don't know what the future holds and what that'll look like. So that's just my opinion.
So I agree. Take out citizen. I like community, like Kara said. So I think maybe 20 years ago, this was a vision. Now it's just a snapshot of where we are today. I think we've hit it, a lot of these. So maybe it's not lofty enough in where we want to be. But I need to think on where we want to be. I don't have any great input in the immediate moment, but it just seems like it's reflecting where we're at today. So we hit it. What's beyond this?
Some word that I hear a lot, maybe looking in the paper or going to different community events, is the word innovation.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's get started with a roll call. Clerk Rogers, can you help us with that?
Okay. Mayor Richardson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Van Dyke.
Present.
Councilmember Holton.
Here.
Councilmember Jones. Here. Councilmember Meyer.
Here.
Councilmember Samuel.
Here.
And Councilmember Witten.
Here.
Thank you.
Since we're all here, we can move on to a Pledge of Allegiance. Pat, can you help us with that today?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I always enjoy that. We do not have any presentations today, and there is no public hearing. Oh, thank you. See, right off the bat. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda today?
So moved. Second.
Wonderful. We can do this by consent vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We have all ayes there. Now we can keep going. No presentations today and no public hearing. That takes us to the public comments period of our meeting today. Clerk Rogers, can you read our procedure script today?
The purpose of a public comment period is to give the audience an opportunity to provide comments to City Council regarding agenda items or other topics. This process is an official on-the-record communication geared toward giving City Council information and opinions to consider in its decision-making process. While Council welcomes hearing from you, please know that the public comment process is not designed for interactive dialogue with Council members or for posing questions expecting an immediate response. Many questions require an opportunity for research and deliberation. For this reason, Council will not provide immediate responses to comments, questions, or concerns raised during the public comment process. To provide an orderly process, audience members who wish to speak should raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged by the Mayor Pro Tem. Approach a lectern when invited to do so, and begin by clearly stating your name and the city you reside in before speaking. And after speaking, please write your name and address on the speaker sign-in sheet. To ensure every participant an opportunity to be heard, each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes to present their comments. The time prompter placed on the lectern will alert each speaker with an amber light when 15 seconds remain. To signal the end of a speaker's time to speak, a red light will flash and a buzzer will sound. In the interest of running an orderly meeting, Council asks that you do not duplicate comments made by a previous speaker. Instead, please confirm your agreement with statements previously made. Please note that if a speaker intends to give Council members records of any kind as part of a presentation, the records must be submitted to the City Clerk for distribution. And when appropriate, the Mayor Pro Tem may refer topics identified during the public comment period to the Deputy City Manager for further action. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Are there those that would like to participate? Come on up. Just invite you again to state your name and the city that you're from.
And thank you, Mayor Richardson and Council. Thank you for having me. My name is Kelly Harnish, and I am here on behalf of Benton Franklin Health District. I've lived in and raised my family in Richland for the past 19 years. So I'd like to tonight invite the Council and community members to join us for an upcoming event where we'll be sharing and discussing the Community Health Improvement Plan. We refer to it as the CHIP. It is a 3-year plan to support the people you serve, our residents and businesses, and improve the community health as we grow, focusing on the needs unique to our region. The CHIP was created from listening to the needs of people living here in Benton and Franklin counties. Our team and partners spent a year collecting data through listening sessions, key informant interviews, and surveys. We also used aggregated data to uncover trends. While public health can help diagnose the health of our community, we need your help, and together we can create lasting change. The CHIP focuses on 5 key priority areas: access to health care, safe drinking water, housing, food insecurity, and mental health. One thing we've learned, I want to kind of share an example or scenario. Think about a cafeteria table at a school that seats 5 children. One of those children is facing food insecurity. That's 10,000 children in Benton County whose family cannot reliably access food. Our CHIP launch party will address that issue and many others that affect our region and connect community leaders with our partners to further our collaboration so we can bridge that gap and make sure that we solve the unique needs of our region. The event will be held on April 29th from 3:30 to 5 p.m. at the Richland Public Library. It's an opportunity to hear about the plan, ask questions, and learn how partners across the community can be involved. We do ask for people to RSVP. You can find a link to RSVP at bfhd.wa.gov/chip. We hope you'll join us. Thank you for your time and continued commitment.
Thanks so much. I appreciate the update and the invite. Are there any others that would like to participate in public comment? Please come up.
Hi, I'm Randy Slovic. I live in Richland. I'm wearing my hat. I read the packet. You see, it says I read the packet. And what I'm interested in talking about in the packet is the lodging tax. I noticed that that some of it's going for the trailhead, Badger Mountain Trailhead, which is fine. But I'm particularly interested in the $70,000 that's going to the development, Richland development, it says. As you know, I have run into a lot of people on the streets asking me, what is there to see in Richland? Well, I have a solution for you. There's a new website. It's called GPS My City. GPS My City, and it has walking tours of 1,500 cities in the world, including Juneau and Ketchikan and little burgs a lot smaller than ours that have tour boats coming to their door just like we do. So what we need is to have, I would suggest that we use some of that money to create some walking tours. We have the people in town who can lay those out. I mean, it's not like it's a mystery. We have an urban trail that leads from basically Howard Amon Park in a big circle all around town, and we have all kinds of walking tours that our volunteers lead periodically for the Parks Department. So we've got it. We just need to have somebody go there and put them on. So and add those walking tours. So I hope we'll do that. I mean, we have hundreds of people getting off tour boats every day, and I'm sure some of them would enjoy taking some of these walks. So that's my suggestion for tonight. Buzz, buzz, buzz. And I want you to know that every other city in the area gets 3 minutes for comments, and Richland's the only one that gets 2.
Thank you. Are there others that have comments tonight? Okay. Well, with no further public comments, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Clerk Rogers, there's a lot today. I think 21 items. Good luck.
Items on a consent calendar have been distributed to the City Council in advance for reading and study, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the council with no discussion. Council members may transfer individual items to items of business for deliberation before voting. Starting with the minutes, we have the approval of the April 7, 2026 City Council Special Workshop and regular meeting minutes. Under ordinances for first reading, we have ordinance number 2026-10, amending Chapter 2.04 of the Richland Municipal Code related to the Administrative Code. Under ordinances for second reading and passage, we have ordinance number 2026-06, amending Richland Municipal Code Section 16.08.010 related to stormwater utility rates. Ordinance number 2026-07, amending Richland Municipal Code Sections 17.56.010 and 17.56.020 related to wastewater utility rates. Ordinance number 2026-08, amending the 2026 budget in the Water, Sewer, and Streets Capital Funds. Ordinance number 2026-09, amending Chapter 10.02 of the Richland Municipal Code related to violations and procedures. Under resolutions for adoption, we have resolution number 2026-45, authorizing an agreement with the Washington State Department of Corrections for litter services at the Horn Rapids landfill. Resolution number 2026-46, authorizing a consultant agreement with RH2 Engineering, Inc. for the wastewater treatment plant Grit Works Rehabilitation Project. Resolution number 2026-47, authorizing a consultant agreement with RH2 Engineering, Inc. for the wastewater treatment plant anaerobic digester improvements project. Resolution number 2026-48, authorizing award of bid to Reyes Brothers Construction, LLC for the 2026 ADA ramp project. Resolution number 2026-49, authorizing award of bid to Intermountain Slurry Seal, Inc. for the 2026 microsurfacing project. Resolution number 2026-50, authorizing a purchase order contract with Northwest Playground Equipment, Inc. for playground equipment at West Village Park Playground. Resolution number 2026-51, authorizing a grant application to the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office for the Little Badger Mountain Trailhead and Connection Trails project. Resolution number 2026-52, authorizing a consultant agreement with Geoengineers, Inc. for Columbia Point Marina dredging sampling and analysis. Resolution number 2026-53, authorizing 2026 Park Partnership Grant Awards. Resolution number 2026-54, authorizing an interlocal agreement with Benton County and the City of Kennewick for fiscal year 2025 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program funds. Resolution number 2026-55, authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the Seattle Police Department for funding to support internet crimes against children investigations. Resolution number 2026-56, authorizing award of bid to Flextronics International USA, Inc., doing business as Crown Technical Systems for the Dallas Substation Control Enclosure Construction Project. Resolution number 2026-57, retaining the March 3, 2026, six-month moratorium on citing less restrictive alternative facilities serving sexually violent predators. Resolution number 2026-58, authorizing 2026 lodging tax grant funding awards. And then lastly, under expenditures for approval, we have the expenditures from March 1, 2026 to March 31, 2026 for $38,547,272.71. Thank you.
I have to say I'm a little envious in the grace that you always do that. Thank you. Are there, council members, any items that we'd like to pull from the consent calendar?
I'd like to pull item 7.
Item 7, that is 2026-45.
Yes.
The agreement with Horn Rapids Landfill, or the corrections. Got it. Okay, we'll pull that. Any other items that we want to pull? Okay, so pulling item number 7, we will proceed. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar minus number 7?
Move to approve the consent calendar as amended.
Second.
Wonderful. So we need a roll call today. Clerk Rogers, can you help us with that?
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Van Dyke.
Aye.
Councilmember Holton.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
Yes.
Councilmember Meyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Samuel.
Yes.
Councilmember Witten.
Yes.
And Mayor Richardson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good. Kurt, I think we'll go through the regular items and put 7 at the end, if that's all right. Mike, you threw me off. I was looking for you over there, and I panicked for just a moment. We have 3 items of business that are similar, but we'll treat them distinctly. If you would come up and talk to us about 2026-59 from the office of Congressman Dan Newhouse, we'll get going.
Okay. Good evening, Council. Mayor Pro Tem, Mike Ristello, Director of Development Services. So I'm here to present, and this is actually going to cover all 3 items because it's the same program in essence, but through each of our congressional representatives is the concept of congressional directed spending, or CDS as it is called. We're having technical difficulties, so 1 minute, please. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So give a little bit of a primer into what all this is, because it is relatively new in the history of things as of late. So the history of congressional directed spending, or CDS, is you have federal programs, but then your congressional members per Constitution, are supposed to have the power of the purse strings. So congressional members direct spending on projects or programs, and prior to the Great Recession, it used to be called earmarks. Then in the era of 2008 to 2011, a lot of the funding that was undertaken via earmarks was redirected into competitive federal programs, and the concept of earmarks pretty much dried out. But then around 2022, 2023, they made a comeback, and there still are programmatic grants, but the world of earmarks, but they renamed it as something different. Now it's called Congressional Directed Spending, or CDS. It's gained popularity and it keeps growing. And the process is undertaken annually. So the requirements of this is that you need to specify a specific project for a specific location. The member signs a form of no financial interest. Each member, it's really up to them what sort of format that they decide the jurisdictions can go after said money. Some of it do it via Google form. Other ones, it is Microsoft forms. And then the turnaround on these is actually relatively tight. By the time the office staff members decide to get it out, sometimes you only have a week or two to put out the narrative, get all materials, all letters of support. It's pretty extensive. Depending on a congressional member, it can go anywhere from about 13 up to 30 pages of material. There's a ban on for-profit agencies getting money for the projects. Members of Congress must post requests online. They are subject to audit. When I was in college actually all the years congressional directed spending came back, I was very proud of the fact that all the years it came back, we actually successfully obtained a CDS request every single year, so that's neat. And we were able to, they would bring an audit team, they'd look at our stuff, and then we'd pass with flying colors. And then the items are reimbursable. So the interesting thing, depending on the earmark, the given year, and who you're getting it from, sometimes the money comes directly through a federal agency, like the Environmental Protection Agency or Department of Transportation. Other times it'll be passed through. So in some years, it got doled out. Instead of it going to Department of Transportation, it would, in essence, go to a state Department of Transportation and then the Metropolitan Planning Council. So it really changes year to year. So the procedure, all entities interested must apply. Applications are lengthy and there is no standardization. They change year to year. There's relatively short turnaround time, and the process is up to member discretion to participate. Then it's interesting is even the amount of slots each member gets differs between the two houses in the federal legislature. So House members, in general, before it goes to a funding committee, they get up to about 20 slots for projects. Senators, they have unlimited slots, but they negotiate once it gets to a subject matter committee because they're considered the senior house, but the House only gets the 20. And then once essentially projects are submitted, there are 9 appropriation bills that essentially each appropriation bill has a committee of either House or Senators, and then they review them. Only 9 of 12 bills are earmarkable, so those are bills we'll go over today. Most of the bills actually don't have a match requirement. The only one it does would be United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development account. They have pretty stringent requirements depending what program you're in. This city doesn't qualify for most of those because for USDA R&D funding, that's primarily for communities under 20,000 population and deemed a rural county. Once it makes it through one chamber, the other one recognizes CDS requests. So that's a key difference between this and then the state process we just went through for the tire pile, for example. When you go to the state legislature, you have to make it on the local project list in the House, then you also have to make it in the Senate, and then it has to be concurred, and the governor needs a assign it. Federally, if it makes it on the final House list or final Senate list, you're good to go pretty much. This is a graphical map of the various funding bills, and I'll go through each briefly. So you have a House and Senate member, and then when you fill out the application, it can go to one of the 9 bills, and then depending on the given year and then what House you're in, some accounts are earmarkable in the House, other ones are just in the Senate. It changes year to year. So they make recommendations through those committees. Then once they narrow it down, it then goes to an appropriations committee and a House or Senate vote, and then you have your congressional directed spending request good to go. So I'll go briefly through each of the bills that can entertain CDS requests, at least this year, because as I said, they change year to year. They put out guidance every year that changes a little bit, so you have to stay on top of it. So Agriculture and Rural Development Bill, the accounts that you can put projects in is Ag Research Service, Plan Inspections, Natural Resource Conservation Service, and then the Rural Development Programs. Most of those don't really cover our area because in the eyes of USDA, we're considered an urban community. Commerce and Justice Bill, the accounts that can entertain CDS requests, there are research facilities, universities, NOAA, also the Burn Discretionary Equipment Training and Facility account, that's Senate only, and that's for Police Department. Department of Justice, the COPS Law Enforcement Technology, so like Real-Time Information Center, that can qualify. And then the Department of Commerce has an agency called Economic Development Administration, and they can fund public works projects as well, but the CDS account for them only appears on the Senate side. Energy and water development, one of the things that you'll notice, because when I became knowledgeable in this, there's a lot of items where it seems like they don't gel together, but yet they combine them in the same appropriations bill. That's just how they do it. There's really no rhyme or reason to that. But these vehicles usually stay consistent year to year as far as the name of the bill. Energy and water development bill, so the earmarkable accounts there in Department of Energy is a renewable clean energy account, energy resiliency, cybersecurity, nuclear energy, and fossil energy, and then you can actually do congressional directed spending through the Army Corps of Engineers. So they have an investigations account, construction, and then operation and maintenance as well. Next bill is military construction and veterans bill. So Veterans Affairs, they can put in a request through the facilities account, and then military, the military construction account. Homeland Security Bill, this is a very interesting one because with this, as long as a jurisdiction and the county they're in, you have an adopted hazard mitigation plan that outlines projects, any of those projects are fair game. And what's interesting about that is that once you have a hazard mitigation plan, and let's say you make a cut, FEMA can cover 75%. The state of Washington, since in this case it flows through Department of Military, they actually will match with the remainder, and then you're good to go. So that's an interesting one. And we're working with Benton County right now on the revamped hazard mitigation plan. And when that does come your way, you'll notice that there's a litany of additional projects in there. A lot of it looks like the ones that are in our capital facilities plan, because as long as you re-specify that in the hazard mitigation plan, it's fair game for all the FEMA hazard mitigation grants, and they just brought back the BRIC grants as well. In fact, in College Place, we use that to rehab a water tower. We actually built a water tower. It's a really powerful program. The next bill is Interior and Environment. So this is a vehicle historically for the Environmental Protection Agency and some other agencies. So you can fund water and wastewater through here. And they actually have like two dual accounts. One is just classical for infrastructure. The other one you can earmark to some of their competitive programs, which is called the STAG account, so state and tribal assistance grants, and that's for water, wastewater, and stormwater. Also, the EPA, you can do congressional directed spending requests to go fix up brownfield sites, but that is only a CDS account on the Senate side. You can't earmark to it on the House side, at least for this year. Also, National Park Service and Historic Preservation and Urban Forestry, those are all accounts you can put in CDS requests to. Labor and Health, this is another one. So workforce innovation, substance abuse, health facilities, and Department of Education. So school districts can also put in some CDS requests as well for this, and that's a good account to do all of that through. Also, Administration for Children and Families, same thing. Those are earmarkable accounts. Then Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development, or the abbreviation for this is THUD. So the THUD account, that has all Department of Transportation and then Housing and Urban Development. So in Department of Transportation, the items you can put projects into is they have a bucket for airports, they have another one for transportation planning. The classical one that most cities utilize is a highway improvement program, so that's for roadways. Transit infrastructure grant, that would be like for Ben Franklin Transit and things like that. And then consolidated rail, you can actually mark up projects to fix up rail as long as it shows up in a plan of yours to that program. Then housing and urban development, you can put in additional tranches of projects to community development block grant, but that vehicle only exists in the Senate. And then they have another program where you can write congressional directed spending requests for infrastructure for low-income census block groups, and that's called the Economic Development Initiative Program, or EDI, and that's another vehicle, but this is very oversubscribed, so that's why is a jurisdiction. You try to diversify what bills you're putting in projects to, because then you're more than likely able to get quite a few projects funded or partially funded. Next bill is financial services and general government. So the CDS accounts can put projects in here is small business administration, National Archives, like for public records, general service administration. They can put in projects for construction of federal buildings or even repair, and then Office of National Drug Control and Policy as well. So those are all the funding vehicles. So how do you figure out how to get to the information to where? And that changes literally yearly. Only reason I got schooled up on when I was in college places is frankly money is very tight there, and we looked under any rock for grants. So that's how we figured it out, and it changes every year. So it's constantly talking to the congressional offices or local representatives, and then figure out essentially what committees the congressional members are on, which ones strike a core of their interest with them, and then what are their prominent issues. So the House has cap at 20 projects, but the House members, so in this case Congressman Newhouse, represent a smaller geographical area. So even though Senate doesn't have a cap, through negotiations, you have to remember Senator Cantwell and Murray are representing the whole state of Washington. So depending on the budget picture and how negotiations go, it can get tight. House members, if you make an initial list, you're typically pretty golden there. Senators, they don't have statutory cap, but they cover a whole state. And then again, projects you're trying to fund, it needs to be in a capital facility plan or comprehensive plan or some master plan. As long as it's in some plan, in general, you're good to go. So now I'll go over some of of what we put in for. And there's subtle differences because of what I mentioned between the House and the Senate. There's some accounts you can do CDS requests to. There's other ones you can't. Also, there's differing interests with the congressional members. And then when you talk with the congressional offices, there's different flavors as to what sort of funding level they would look at putting their name behind. Some of them are 2 million, some are 2.5, some are 3. You're always trying to talk with the folks, play the game. So for Representative Newhouse, we put a request for real-time information center, police department, about 1.5 million, and a commerce and justice bill. Wastewater treatment plant, the digester for $2.5 million in interior and environment. State Route 240 and Aaron Drive, that's a substantial amount of money to fix up that intersection. So essentially it's stacking the various grant sources. And keep in mind, if you put in a project, let's say Representative Newhouse, we put the $3 million we put in for 240 and Aaron, and then you put that in for Senator Murray and she likes it as well. It isn't like at the state where you would only get the 3, you would get 6 million at that point. State Route 240 and Snively Road, 2 million there in the transportation bill. The Tapteel Pump Station, 1.9 in the interior and environment bill. Some energy infrastructure improvements up north for 2.5 million in the energy and water development bill. Water treatment plant SCADA for 2 million in interior and environment, and then an industrial symbiosis study up north for about 150,000 in interior and environment. So that's Representative Newhouse. For Senators Cantwell and Murray, list there is State Route 240 in Aaron for $3 million, the wastewater treatment plant for $2.5, State Route 240 in Snively, so up by the proposed Veterans Cemetery for $2 million, the energy infrastructure improvements for $2.5, the Tapteel Pump Station and Interior and Environment Bill for $1.9, funding for the police station replacement project, and in the forthcoming hazard mitigation plan, you're able to list facilities in there. So that's how we're able to do that, because that's a project that'll be in there, so you can put it in the Homeland Security bill. Water treatment plant, the SCADA improvements, $2 million. Tracks D and E cleanup, as I mentioned earlier, with brownfields, you can put a CDS request on the Senate side, but there's no vehicle for it on the House side, so that's why it shows up here. And then shrub step banks. So the concept there is that for some of the development, there's issues as far as mitigation of shrub step and land to do that. So basically operating a bank where you could essentially utilize debits and credits and buy some land to essentially cultivate shrub step and ease development burden. So there is $2.5 million there, and that is in the NRCS account. That's outside of USDA rural development. It's a separate thing in the ag department. So you can keep track of the projects on these various web links. If you go, Senator Cantwell and Senator Murray, they are still reviewing the request. Representative Newhouse put out his initial list that is going to the committees. So you'll see in that list, we actually did pretty good there. So he is recommending the police department, the real-time information center, also State Route 240 in Snively Road, and then also the anaerobic digester. So that's us on the House side. And as I said, that isn't the end of the game. It still has to be reviewed by the appropriation bill committee and so forth, but that's a decent start. The reason why the resolutions are in front of you is that you do not need the resolutions when you turn the projects into your congressional member. The issue is once it gets to that subject matter committee on the 9 appropriations bills, depending on whoever is chairing it, sometimes they want resolutions of support from council, other times they don't. If they do, you have a very short turnaround, like a couple days, and if you don't provide that to them, you're just off the list and out of luck. So we can continue these conversations as it makes it through the various 9 supporting bills and the Appropriation Committee, and then the full House and Senate vote. That is why you see the three resolutions before you. So a lot of information there. So CDS, there's the requirements, the procedures, the processes, everything changes annually. So you just have to watch it because the forms change all the time. Some of the accounts that you're able to put projects to, some of them open up, some of them close. It changes every year. And then monitor most of the congressional offices. They put out email blasts and email newsletters. And then frankly, if you're a frequent flyer or you've worked for another city that has chased a lot of these, you end up getting emails when stuff opens up, and then you're able to put in the applications and try to push for it. So that's a lot of information, but that's the general information about congressional directed spending. Any questions?
Mike, continue to be impressed with your ability to chase down new opportunities to supplement our funding. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's approach this, I think, if you could pop back to new houses, and we can look at 2026-59, if there are specific comments or discussion on that one. And then if there are any general comments, we can roll it into there, and then we'll proceed to the others. Council.
Mr. Rizzatello, are these projects in any kind of particular order? Are they just in a random order? Or?
They are in a ranked order.
They are in a ranked order.
Your microphone, Mr. Rizzatello.
Oops. Thanks. They are in ranked order, and how we develop the ranked order is essentially by talking with those congressional offices, how some of the interests are and what they thought they could push through, and where there was room in some of the funding vehicles. So that's how that order was established. So that way, as they're trimming, if there's areas they need to cut, they can see what the priorities are. But then also, it's understanding where is there room, because for instance, like I mentioned earlier, if you were to throw in 9 requests in that THUD bill, frankly, good luck on that, because everyone's going after THUD. So you try to look for different vehicles to put things in. So,
thank you, Councilmember Jones.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Again, you're just incredible explaining things in a way that just anybody can understand what you're talking about. So thank you very much for doing that. I think the community appreciates that.
Thanks.
So I saw that there is an opportunity potentially for nuclear or something along those lines, but I don't see any applications from us. Why not?
So, I would say the rationale was the maturity of the project. So if you have a project that's clearly delineated in ClearGov in the capital facilities page, and you're able to show that in the funding bill, and then especially in talking with the congressional offices, that's what they want to see. If there's some early level things where, we are doing stuff with nuclear, and we will be, and it's going to be further explained in a lot of those planning efforts we're going to be doing up at the Northwest Clean Energy Park, that $900,000 grant for up north. So that's going to provide a vehicle where I think when we go for CDS next year, we'll actually have a nice enriched group of source material that'll really up our chances. But frankly, with CDS, you try to go after what you think you can win, and a lot of it is just based on going after it in the past and talking with the congressional offices.
So this first is a low-hanging fruit,
yes.
And then we'll go from there.
Yes.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yes.
We're going to keep going. I see Mayor is I think has a question, or is it Joe? Sorry, comment question.
I just
Go ahead.
wanted to follow up on what Director Rizzatello said in response to your question, Councilmember Jones. Down the list here is the BPA energy infrastructure improvements at $2.5 million. Nuclear needs power right now, and this would support that demand.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Councilmember Whitten.
I would just like to pile on with Jones's comment of saying thank you for your presentation. You did a wonderful job. I'm always impressed by your ability to understand all these processes and present them in a way that's understandable. It is also like drinking from a fire hose when you're presenting, because you go very quickly, but you're also very detailed, and it's impressive, and I can only imagine all the knowledge you have up there. But thank you very much for your efforts.
Councilmember Samuel, do you have more?
I do. Was there any consideration to any projects that where we could team up with Kennewick or Pasco to leverage their ask with our ask?
We did have some base level discussions on that, and one could argue that State Route 240 and Aaron Drive's a good example of that, because, for example, if you look on the Good Roads and Transportation Association, they rank projects across the region. That's on there, so that's a good example of that. However, there's other ones where we just deviate, where Pasco, they're trying to go after funding to fix up their water plant, so and then not only that, but as you're doing these earmarks, a lot of times they try to slot them for different counties and different areas. So we try to collaborate where we're able to, and we do 240 and Aaron, but then there's other ones where you just go for it. So
I'd add too, sometimes these are very complementary, if not the same as the legislative priorities,
Yeah.
and we'll often put those out. So here's for the city and here's for our county and region, and then supporting things. Thank you. Councilmember Holden.
I wasn't sure what you meant by oversubscribed under transportation and housing.
Yeah. So what I mean by oversubscribed is that with a lot of the other funding bills, because a lot of people municipalities don't read into what can go into each one. Those other accounts, people won't put in projects for. In general, you can get a lot of projects in them because transportation, housing, urban development, the earmarkable accounts there they have a pretty general summary to them, so even if you don't know where to put money, where you could put it in FUD. And the problem is, so does everyone else. So trying to shove projects in there, I mean, bigger ones like 240 Aaron, especially since it's in the regional list, that makes perfect sense and so forth. But some of, for instance, the wastewater digester, the shrub step bank, things like that, you could bury some of that in the HUD EDI account. However, so is everyone else. So that's why you go into interior environment, the NRCS bill, things like that, because in general, a lot of cities aren't looking at those other buckets, so you stand a greater chance of getting it, because frankly, anyone and everyone's going after THUD, and that's just how it's always been.
Thank you.
Mayor, did you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time. Thank you for the presentation.
A few comments. I'm always a sucker to see things for SCADA in there. I know that sounds strange, but that's important to me in reinforcing our critical infrastructure. This one's out there. Maybe in the future, knowing this is annual, there could be a there to look to, I guess, supplement or complement the resources, potentially the capabilities of the potential fire station. I'm sorry, the police station that we have. There's a lot of opportunity there, and I think in capacity, and then maybe some of these things could be part of that in the future. Nothing to respond to now, just a general thought.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion for this one? Could I entertain a motion for Resolution 2026-59?
Move to approve Resolution number 2026-59, authorizing fiscal year 2027 congressional directed spending submittals to the office of Congressman Dan Newhouse.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-59. We can do this by a consent vote. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. We have a unanimous vote there. Let's move on to the one for Senator Cantwell, and we'll do that one first. Is there any further discussion on this one, Council?
Move to approve Resolution number 2026-60, authorizing fiscal year 2027 congressional directed spending submittals to the office of Senator Maria Cantwell.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-60. Although, let's see, for adoption, we can do this again by consent vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 That gets me. Any opposed? Okay, that one passes unanimously. Let's move on to Resolution 2026-61. This one's under Senator Murray. Are there any questions or concerns? Any discussion we want to have on this one? Joanna, did you have one previously?
Oh.
Okay, that's all right. All right. I would just like to say I was excited to see Tracks D&E opportunities to go after that one. Thank you for that. With no further discussion, and to entertain a motion for, go ahead, Kurt.
I'll move to approve resolution number 2026-61, authorizing fiscal year 2027 congressional directed spending submittals to the office of Senator Patty Murray.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to adopt resolution 2026-61. We can again do this by consent vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that one also passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, that takes us to reports and comments. Oh, thank you. Let's pull back to, we pulled resolution 2026-45. This is authorizing an agreement with Washington State Department of Corrections for litter services at Horn Rapids Landfill. I'd like to open that one for discussion.
So the reason I pulled this is a couple of things. First of all, some of you may recall the last time a contract like this came across our desk. I raised the question as to whether or not the labor used at the Department of Corrections, whether or not essentially this was a voluntary program. And we didn't have an answer at the time. I was informed later after staff followed up on it for us that it is a voluntary program. So my first question is this still a voluntary program? Because that voluntary nature is at the discretion of the warden. And so I'm interested to know if we've done any follow-up on this contract establishing that this is still a voluntary process. My second question is exactly what level of expansion, I assume this is for expanding the number of workers we're hiring through the contract, because we have an existing contract, but I can't seem to figure out what the expansion is here. So how many more people are we bringing on with this contract? Because in the attachments in the packet, the sample contract that we're provided is of course blank, so it doesn't specify the number of workers on this one. So what exactly are we approving in the context of this item?
Carlo, do you have any insight on that?
I have no reason to believe that it isn't still a voluntary program, but I would need to follow up and give you a for sure answer on that. And to confirm that. The second question related to more people, this is actually a renewal of a contract that expired in 2025, at the end of 2025. It was a 2-year term. This one is one that'll expire in 2030. So it's a 5-year term.
So in the packet, when it says the most recent contract for these services expiring at the end of 2030, that means this one that we're approving?
Yes.
So does it constitute an expansion of the labor group, or is it simply a renewal of the existing contract that we approved last time?
It's a renewal of the contract.
Okay. All right. Again, much like last time, I'm not interested in holding this up, but I would appreciate a follow-up because I'm not interested in continuing a contract like this if it's not. I mean, I used the word slave labor last time and I got argued with, but that's what it is. It's in the Constitution. So we need to maintain vigilance on that, and not, I would not want us to get complacent and take for granted that the people who are working for the city want to work for the city. So that's all. Thank you.
Further discussion or comments? All right. Is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 2026-45.
Second.
Wonderful. So we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-45. We can still do this by consent vote. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great, that one passes unanimously. All right, I think that does now take us into reports and comments. We'll start with our Deputy City Manager.
No comments, thank you.
Took all the fun right out of it. You had your chance. Good. Let's see. Let's start with council members over here. Councilmember Samuel.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. This past couple of weeks, I've received a significant number of emails from citizens of Richland regarding their concerns about the siting of the data center. And I just want to say I really appreciate this input. Several of the emails were very detailed and not only described the potential issues, but also provided potential solutions. I really am thankful for citizens' engagement and communication. It's really valued and it's really appreciated, so I just wanted to say that. Secondly, I attended a joint meeting of the Citizens Economic Development Committee and Planning Commission, where we received an overview of the economic development section of the city's comprehensive plan that's underway. It's currently being updated. What really stood out to me was the growth that Richland has experienced over the past 10 years. Now, since you've been all on City Council, I'm sure you know that Richland over the last 10 years has grown by 22.3%, which is the fastest growing by percentage of any of the Tri-Cities, which I just think is remarkable. And as part of the consultant's work, they are performing a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis of the economic development of Richland. And it was pretty encouraging to hear the identification of a large number of strengths and opportunities for Richland's economic development during the next 10 years. With that, that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Holden.
I attended drought and water conservation for Kennewick Irrigation District, which is part of Richland. It's mainly Kennewick, but we need more reservoirs, is the bottom line. One of the newer suggestions is, they're not really mini, but smaller reservoirs that are parallel to the irrigation canal. So we have the existing property there, and then when there's runoff, and that would help mitigate flooding too, you can divert to the reservoir right next to the canal. And then when there's a drought, use that water. So that was their emphasis, is more reservoirs. Also, I met Kelsey Kelmel from Heritage Gardens. She came over to my house and walked me through some possible changes to make it more friendly to the environment, and suggestions. I can see a future working with her, with Richland, with ideas for, especially since there's such emphasis in our natural vegetation for a number of reasons, which would be beneficial to the city. Did a blood donation. We had the record for donations, for one-day donations, and we're first on the east side to have EMTs do blood transfusions. So that was very exciting. Parks and Rec meeting, the state has been defining e-bikes, which is a hot topic over at Parks and Rec, how we're going to regulate those. And a presentation by Julie Piper. She's a rec manager. We have 130 events per year. Everything from Ironman, Cool Desert Nights, Night Out is coming up, to, if you want to just reserve a, whatchamacallit, for your gathering. You can do that up to a year in advance, up to 3 days. So they're very busy over there doing lots of things. The Haynes Avenue home sold. It's gradually being cleaned up. We're grateful for that. There was only one bidder, and it went over for just $1 over the minimum bid. So eager to see how that comes out. Attended the ribbon cutting for the Columbia Basin Recovery Center. Very, very well attended. Lots of people there, lots of legislators. So exciting, not only to help people, but also bringing over 100 jobs to Kennewick, back to the core of Kennewick. And also a belated thank you for the breakfast. for the all-city employees. Heather is not here tonight, that she got an award. Liz got an award, lots of awards. It was just great to meet everyone that works for the city, and we have such an incredible staff going down to people that collect our garbage and mow the lawns up to the top. And I would give a shout out to Joe and John. John's not here today? But Joe's here. And the incredible job that they do for the city and for that breakfast. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Pat. Councilmember Jones.
Nothing from me.
Councilmember Whitten.
I'd just like to invite everyone down to the Reach Museum tomorrow evening for the grand opening of the solar project. It'll be interesting to see the size and scale of the solar system with that. It's mind-blowing, the distances that are actually involved in that, and just the scale even is pretty awesome. So I'll be able to attend the end of that, I think, but that's all I got.
Thanks, Ryan. Councilmember Myers.
Thanks. I wanted to report that we had we have received the investigation into the allegations in the BFT leadership was complete. There has been a change, board effected change in leadership of BFT. However, the report itself, the investigation, the change in leadership, none of that has directly affected operations. BFT is still running. Ridership is still high. In fact, tomorrow is Earth Day, and BFT is offering free rides on Earth Day. So if you'd like to experiment with a bus without risking your $1.50, tomorrow would be the day you can make that leap. Also, in local events, this coming weekend is the Friends of the Library book sale at the Richland Public Library. That's happening in the Galaxy. The gallery. It is in the Galaxy, but it's in the library's gallery.
He's going to the Galaxy one.
Right. Yeah. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then want to preview, this is the 75th anniversary of the Richland Public Library, and there will be an event celebrating that in the lobby of the library and on the lawn in the library on May 1st. And I'm super excited because originally I was going to be out of town and miss that, but my plans have changed, and so I get to show up for that. I hope everybody else does too. I have heard a rumor that there will be Theo stickers available themed by decade over the library's history. So if you want period dinosaurs, that's the place you can be to get them. It's May 1st.
Are you going to be Theo?
No, someone else has that honor. I don't think the costume is tall enough to fit me. It would not. Theo doesn't need to be scaring kids. So that's all I've got. That 75th anniversary celebration is in the lobby of the library and on the lawn on May 1st. That's a Friday. Happens at 4:30 p.m.
Thanks, Kurt. Mayor.
Hi there. First, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Van Dyke, for covering tonight. I'm in Augusta, Georgia this week representing the city at the ECA conference. It's where they talk a lot about nuclear waste and cleanup, but also transitioning all these sites around the country to the next season in life and new nuclear projects. And it was timely because it also it has included a discussion about data centers. So very good information on a national level and learning a lot and meeting some key people, hoping that they'll be interested in landing in Richland, Washington. I will tell you it's very competitive. Also need to tell you that in Augusta, Georgia, right now, the jasmine is blooming, and I went along a river walk early this morning. It was gorgeous. So maybe coming back with some ideas for our river walk.
That is a beautiful.
That's all I have.
I enjoy that one. Thank you. Just a few things that I can add is I was able to participate with the Richland Chamber of Commerce this afternoon. What a great group of people that care about our community. There's a lot of energy there. I'm trying to be able to provide updates on some of the projects and or issues or concerns that they're interested in, and I hope that's going well. I also just wanted to pile on, was able to go to the Recovery Center opening, and I think that looking at that and the therapeutic courts and the opportunities we have to work with our resource navigator is really kind of a tripod, if you will, or an opportunity we have to engage and potentially make a significant difference with those that need help in our community. Okay, so with the end of comments there, the balance of our meeting is going to be an executive session, and per RCW 423110, I think it's LI, we're going to break for 45 minutes and discuss current or potential litigation with our legal counsel. We'll go till then. For those of you that may still be participating, we're going to extend executive session for about 15 more minutes. right, it is 7:59. We have concluded our executive session, and that concludes our regular city council meeting for today. Thanks.